Hola, bon dia. Carl Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show from expatsportugal.com. And before I forget, please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. This is a memo from Astrid, and Astrid will come and talk to us sometime soon on the show. But she says, Carl, you never tell people to subscribe. So please subscribe. I'm not one of those young YouTube influencers, am I? Okay, subscribe here. Where is it in that corner? Subscribe here, subscribe here. But please subscribe here. I'll tell you what, so that we can feed our kids as well. Support the show. Become a premium member at expatsportugal.com/upgrade. €47 for the whole year. And then a paltry €25 renewal every year thereafter. And you get a bunch of discounts and perks for that with our wonderful team of partners and friends at expatsportugal.com. So there you go, Astrid. I did it. I didn't get cracking and forget. And she would love it. Astrid would so love it, and so would I. It would take the heat off me a bit if we get a load of orders by the end of the show. That would be fantastic. So if you enjoy the show, if you get a lot of value from it, how about paying it back a bit? €47 for the year to be a premium member. For example, you get pushed to the front of the queue of our webinars. You'll feel like a VIP walking up to a nightclub, and the bouncer says, "Yeah, you're on the list. Come in." It's like that when you become a premium member. So good morning to you. Hope you're well, and hope my microphone was on for all of that. Because some of my best material goes missing when the microphone is off. I have a wonderful guest for you this morning, Rafael Guerreiro, who he said, let's talk about how we met on the internet. And I can't remember how we met on the internet, so we will solve that mystery in just a moment after you've said hello to a few people on this Tuesday morning when we talk about money, business, consumer issues, and of course, the Cockerel's Coop, where we get somebody in Dragon's Den style to talk about their business idea, who will be Rafael this morning. So let's say hello to a few people before we say hello to Rafael. Bon dia, alegria. 23 degrees centigrade expected here today. This is a moment in Britain where people are boasting about the weather. Generally, we're able to do that all the time here in Portugal. But those lovely people in the UK, 23 they're looking forward to today. Might even be hotter than Portugal over there. But snow forecast for Wales. Is that right, Doug? Bon dia, alegria. Don't take that too seriously about the snow in Wales, but it can happen. It can snow at Easter, can't it? Bon dia, alegria from Jean Van de Beek over there in France, aujourd'hui. Hola a todos y bon dia, alegria de la Ria from the dock. 24 expected here. So there you go. Just trumping. He's not going to let that happen, is the doc. 24 degrees expected in Leiria today. Magdalena, good morning to you. Just started my Portuguese language course today. Yippee. Well, come on then. Bom dia, alegria to you. Tudo bem? Magdalena, we don't mind you just showing off a little bit with what you've learned so far. Bom dia from a currently overcast Povoa de Vargem, the wonderful Mark Rigby, who represented the north of Portugal so wonderfully in our battle of the best place to live in Portugal last Thursday. Catch that on YouTube, if you will. It was a great evening. Hello from Nepal, from Saman, Magdalena. Mike and I will join today. Oh, bless you. Just say, yeah, it was a message. Hi, Astrid. Message from Carl. We've joined up. That'll be fantastic. And subscribe here. Hola, bon dia from a very dull Cabanas de Tavira. Lots of Sahara sand in the clouds and not healthy at all. Oh dear, Saharan sand. Is that a thing in the Algarve then? You get a bit of Saharan sand every now and then. Not enough to create a nice little feature on your balcony, I'm guessing, but enough to maybe just to irritate the lungs a little bit. Sorry to hear that, Paul. I always watch your program. Love it, says Suman. Thank you, Saman. I'm guessing you're a subscriber. Hola, bon dia, Carl. Please say hello to my wonderful fiance, Paolo, who is listening in this morning. Hello, Paolo. Bon dia, Paolo. Tudo bem to you, Paolo, you wonderful fiance. You have to tell us a few tips for the single fellas here who aspire to becoming a wonderful fiance. What is your secret? Oh, Taximan Edmundo joining us later. It's all about the Algarve. Rafael's in the Algarve today. Taximan Edmundo joining us around 9:45 today. Bon dia, alegria from Mike. I need to get some glasses. I'm calling Milda Mike. What is wrong with me? So I need to get some spectacles, I think. Sorry, update 26. All right. No, 28 tomorrow. Yes, boasting right back at you there, Paul and Louise. Thank you for your company yesterday, Louise, and sending the pictures of the lovely daffodils to the gardening show last night. Hola, bon dia from Andrew in Singapore. Good morning, Andrew. Haven't had you here for a while, but lovely to have you back. Bon dia de Obidosh from Jacqueline Branco. Hello, Chappie. Says, all right there, Chappie. Good morning to you. Oh dear, some Saharan sand in my throat there. Saharan sand covering all the cars this morning. Good morning to you, Shelley. Lovely to chat with you last night. Bloody spell check. says Andrew, making me read that out. Hola, bon dia, Carl, from Jacqueline Claire Bender, whose videos you must see as well. Subscribe there too. Fantastic videos coming out of the Claire Bendel production facility. And just at last one, sorry, Rafael, we'll get to you in just a moment. Bon dia, Alegria, from a very cloudy Garunda mountainside from the Bleaches. From Matosinhos, Joel, from Atlanta, Georgia. Hola, bon dia, todos de Atlanta. And just, yes, really, come on, let's let Rafael on, everybody. Bon dia, Alegria, tuning in for work ideas, setting up a table of collectibles at the farmer's market tomorrow. Susan, could be chilly, but want to get established. Need to raise funds for the move to Portugal to PT. Susan, that's a great idea. It is all sort of business focused today. Do ask your questions in the comments about business. And talking of business, here he is, the man of the moment that we want to speak to in the Cockerel's Coop this morning. Rafael, hola, bon dia, tudo bem?
Bom dia, tudo bem? And you?
Great. I'm very well, thank you. Great to have you here. The tea has arrived, I'm glad to say.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure, absolute pleasure. And you mentioned to me before we started, let's say how we met. Was it on LinkedIn or was it on Facebook? I mean, I just saw your wonderful idea. Tell us about it and remind me, how did we meet?
Yeah, I think it was on Facebook. I was searching a little bit for the expat communities in Portugal. And then most recently, I did a publication in some of the expat groups regarding an idea that I had for a co-working space in nature. And Carl reached out to me and told me, oh, I've had that idea in the past. You should check this out. And that's kind of how we connected.
Fantastic. Thank you for that reminder. And yes, we're on the same, you and I are on the same sort of wavelength here. And I should warn the retired people here that we're going to be talking about work, and we hope that's not too upsetting for you. However, I think it's the evolution, the revolution in work. Obviously, in the last year, people have got used to working remotely, working from home, and they might have developed a taste for it, depending on their circumstances, of course. For some people, that's been absolute hell. For others, it's been a blessed relief, I think, from the corporate environment. I've never liked big offices. They're impressive, aren't they? But I've never liked being in those air-conditioned places where people are desperate to get to the water cooler to get away from their desk and stretch their legs. You're talking about an entirely different concept here. Tell us more, Rafael. You're in the Cockerel's Coop. Let's sell this idea to everybody, and let's see if we can find ourselves some investors before the show's out and we can get cracking on this, not only in the Algarve, but all over the country, maybe.
Yeah, pretty good. So yeah, basically coronavirus didn't do much for me because I already worked at home, so it didn't change anything. If it did change anything, I was obviously working in a shared space and I stopped going there, but it's not like working from home was really new for me. I've been doing it for quite a while. And the thing is, like, I find when I'm with nature and when I'm surrounded by all of those beautiful noises and that beautiful energy, I can, especially in my work, which is digital marketing, I can be more concentrated, I can be more focused, I can be more creative. It's completely different than being inside of four walls, It's very different.
Yeah, you're a lucky man to sort of be prototyping this already for yourself. You're in the Algarve, of course. How is this going to work? What would the office of the future look like that is in nature? I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, and the worst thing I can think of, is screen glare. And that's about it, really. Apart from that, I'm thinking, okay, I'm looking at the orange trees and thinking I'm going to have some freshly squeezed orange juice at lunchtime, or for 11s. I've got the sound of the birds. I've got the dogs barking in the distance reassuringly. This is all very good. Is that how it's going to be? Basically be on a veranda or a balcony or in a conservatory?
So if we talk about my vision, and you kind of have to picture it a little bit in here, I was imagining, like, firstly, a wooden cabin and then you would have, for example, your desk, and in front of it you would have the window for the space outside, and outside it would be a prearranged garden. And the whole concept is that you would work, and whenever you would feel like going outside and maybe getting a sip of inspiration, or just write something down, or maybe grab a beer with your coworker, you can just sit outside and you're just in nature, that's kind of my vision for it.
Oh, it sounds good. It sounds good. And I'm sure people you've spoken to or already, like me, are saying, yeah, that's a great idea. Where do I sign up? I mean, you might want to say a little bit for people who aren't familiar with the term digital nomads. I mean, these are the sort of people you are going to be attracting. Obviously, if you make widgets in an engineering plant, that's not going to be so easy. Or if you're a brain surgeon or an airline pilot, those things have to be done in the proper place of work, obviously, just very physically. But there are all sorts of people who might be able to drift into this environment. What are your sort of key customers or colleagues in this natural co-working environment?
Yeah, it's mainly digital nomads. A lot of people are being attracted to the Algarve, obviously because of the amazing weather. Not so much today, because so much it looks like we're in the Middle East.
But it's like, wow.
But unusual, on ideal conditions, the weather is pretty good, and especially with projects such as I'm not sure if you know it, the Algarve Tech Hub.
No, tell us about that.
Yeah, so the Algarve Tech Hub is basically a group of enterprises and small businesses from the Algarve that focus on technology, and the goal is to build a technology center to both attract digital nomads and also to support the working conditions of the already existing companies.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment, there's a building in construction. I think it's close to the university. I think it's Peña, like huge building. And all of the technology companies will be there. So it will kind of be really Algarve Tech Hub, to kind of get the region more closer, because one of the problems when it comes to the technology, I would say, paradigm in the Algarve is that the Algarve is obviously very, very big, and it's all of the companies are very distributed in their places. There's not much corporate tissue in just one place. It's really all over across the Algarve. And the purpose of the Algarve Tech Hub is to get everybody in the same building, everybody together, everybody thinking together of how we can move the region and the country forward when it comes to digital work.
Very good, and you make a very good point, or certainly something of interest to me. There is the Algarve, obviously hugely dependent on tourism. And that's been a very difficult and horrible year for many people in hospitality in the Algarve. You're talking there about the digital businesses of the Algarve. Probably some of them are connected with tourism, but many aren't. There are other industries in the Algarve. Can you tell us more about that, and then maybe tell us more about what you do in the digital world?
For sure, yeah. So inside of the Algarve Tech Hub, you have a bunch of different companies. Most of them are software, and that software ranges a little bit. You have companies that make software for hotels and the tourism sector and activities and experiences. Then you have other companies which focus more on agriculture and more on industrial and production types of companies. And yeah, that's about it. Regarding what I do, so I like to introduce myself as an entrepreneur, because that's really what I am. I like to create projects. I like to create companies and build them. But besides that, what I focus on is digital marketing, more specifically sales funnels and digital launches. And my mission is to help the people that come to me clarify their message, find their voices online, and obviously grow their businesses.
Well, this is going to be of big interest, I think, to a certain segment of the audience we've got here, Rafael. Really good news to there is, first thing, that there is a welcoming environment for entrepreneurs and people working in the digital world, the digital nomads and so on. You might have a fantastic environment for them to work in, probably in the Algarve for your one, right? Maybe I work on the one in central Portugal. And then for others who are making the shift, people who maybe have worked in a more traditional way, thinking of semi-retirement and wanting to create an online business, you're the guy they should speak to, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I can help them set up online. There's multiple ways we can do that, but yeah, for sure.
So you mentioned the funnel there. People in
Yeah,
people who've got websites, people who market online, I think understand what the sales funnel is. Given that this is our money business and Consumer Affairs Tuesday, could you go into a bit more of that to
yeah.
describe how this works now? You know, in the old days, as some of our older listeners here will remember, the high street, a thing called the high street, where there were shops, there were independent shops, and you had to. What you did was you put stuff in the shop window, and people would see it in the window and come in and buy it. It was all very straightforward. But now in the digital world, what's the equivalent? You have to have a funnel.
That's what I call hope marketing. And then actually it's one of the biggest mistakes when you start an online business is actually building your store or your company and thinking you just put everything on your window and
Yeah,
nobody comes through the door, because obviously online is very different.
yeah.
So the main difference between a sales funnel, this is my favorite subject, I'm sure you can see that, between between a website and a sales funnel is that a website is typically more like a brochure, that people enter there and they can see about us and they can see what you're doing and they have all of this information, but most of the times there's not a very clear goal. Okay, the difference between a website and a funnel is that a funnel doesn't have, for starters, it doesn't have any navigation links usually, so there's no way the person who enters on that page can run to other pages and get get distraction. Thanks, Gemini. um, and basically what you have in a sales funnel is a very, very clear goal. So if you were to make a sales funnel for Expat Portugal, it could be a sales funnel for people to apply for the membership. Okay, and the only thing they could do in that page is either find out more about the membership, where you would establish the membership and obviously talk a little bit about these features and everything else. And then the only thing that they could do on that page is actually get the membership or close the window and leave, So it's a very focused type of page, and it has a very clear message. Usually the structure that I like the most, it starts with hook, story, offer. Okay, the hook is what you say to grab the attention. Okay,
Yeah.
so usually it's something that's very curiosity based, like find out more about this unique community in Portugal where you can get all of this amazing stuff, and that's a big headline. And then you have the story where you tell, well, it's not really a story, it's more about the stories and about the sales speech that you give to them. And then you have obviously the offer, which is in this case, sign up for the membership.
Amazing. And we've all been there. We've all experienced that, haven't we? And we might not have known that was a sales funnel. and you make a really good point, because, back in the year 2000, when everybody was worried about Y2K and the first websites were online, people would look at them out of curiosity, wouldn't they? As a hobby sort of thing. But now no one cares if you've got a website or not, do they? You really have to make a very different offer and tell people a story and make them an offer they can't refuse, and probably give them a discount or something like that while they're there, or give them a free gift. That's often the way now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's your expert area. You're shaking your head there. What did I say?
No, it's because I absolutely hate discounts. What you can do is, so obviously you have an online business, and you know that the most important asset for an online business is your email list. That's your biggest asset, and obviously what you can do is you can set up what we call a lead magnet. A lead magnet is basically something that you give away for free in order to get the person's email. So if we were talking about Expat Portugal, you could offer a 7-step guide on the things you should know before moving to Portugal, and that's just a page with that information, and then you would outline what that ebook or what that PDF would have, and people would put their email addresses, and that's the way for you to build a list.
All right. If anybody wants the 7-step guide to moving to Portugal, that I'm probably have to write now, later on today or over the Easter weekend, say so in the comments, or better still, go to expatsportugal.com. You obviously know what you're talking about. Peter Bleach says the high street is dead. Without an online presence on multiple platforms, it is going to be increasingly difficult to survive. YouTube, Facebook, Trustpilot for us net mums. Pete is somebody who's created very successful online or made the transition actually from sort of face to face, I think, as a traditional business into working online. So amazing, Peter, that you're backing it up. And actually, it's very interesting. It's all part of human evolution, really, this, isn't it? It's not just about business. This is about how society is changing, because I think he's right. I'm not sure the high street will ever be dead, but because people do, with with notwithstanding a pandemic, people do like to get together. They want to be in the market, they want to be in the streets, they want to go out and eat and this sort of thing. But maybe do you think shops are going to change, and do you think it will be a more social space in the cities, and people will work in the way you're describing, out in a co-working space rather than a traditional office?
Yeah, I think well, obviously when it comes to e-commerce and shopping, that has changed like a whole bunch in the last 10 years with Amazon and all of those companies. And we can see that here at the same time. For example, I think last week just opened something that's called the Super Express. I don't want to be advertising things in here, but it's made basically like a virtual supermarket. You know, they don't have a physical place where you can go and shop. You can only order on their website, you know. And if you go and see status from Continent and all of the major supermarkets, especially with the pandemic, like online orders have been increasingly like a whole bunch, you know. So I really think e-commerce commerce will change, you know, because if you think about high street and you have a store in there, for example, if you talk about a technological store, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of different cell phones and computers, and they can have all in store, you know, but they can have it all in a warehouse, you know, and that's, in the end of the day, that's better for you because you get you get a bigger choice, you know. You do not get to see just the computers in front of you, but then there's the downside of not actually being able to see them and touching them. But
I think Portugal's in a unique place for this, with for a number of reasons. But what you're saying really makes a lot of sense, and I can see how online shopping will evolve, because really it's a copy of physical shopping, isn't it? and the kind of the environment, the context hasn't changed that much yet, but I suspect it's going to. And that's I mean, I don't mind you mentioning at all this Super Express, was it called?
Yeah, Super Express. I think it's .pt. But
yeah, and shopping online, it really would, if you're doing your supermarket shop, and let's face it, the problem with going supermarket shopping is the supermarket, isn't it? And that, you know, the drag of having to go down there and do it and walk around a supermarket where you're getting marketed at all the time. It's quite a disorienting experience compared to going to a traditional market. Now, if these companies make a pleasant experience online, and that hasn't been the case, is it, for most supermarkets and big corporations making the transition? They just copied the existing world and tried to make it into a website. If they make it more of a virtual reality world, and I'm sure this is coming, and you can have an interesting shopping experience online, or you can have a standing order and just make a few tweaks, or you can speak to somebody and they will put your order together and it's delivered.
Yeah.
It's got to go that way, isn't it? No more supermarkets as we know them, probably, you know, more of a market and a smaller scale thing, and then a warehouse somewhere. And
I think they'll probably continue to exist. It just will more like the people that go to the supermarket and the people that shop online. Obviously, online is going to get bigger, and I think that, like, especially Portuguese supermarket companies are like leaving a lot of money in the table because they don't have like a proper experience. Like, if you go to Amazon, they do something that's very smart. If I go there and I purchase a photography camera, they say, okay, would you like to bundle this together with the case? Would you like to bundle this together with an SD card? And that's obviously a very good shopping experience, because yes, I would like that, you know. And if I go to Continent and I'm trying to buy, for example, I'm trying to buy chips, Continent could tell me, oh, do you want some beer with that, you know? And that works, you know. But they are leaving a lot of money on the table by not doing that.
Leaving money on the table. That's a really good phrase, probably a Portuguese one. And who would turn that offer down? Do you want some beer with those chips? Oh, go on then. It is after 10 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Amazing. Yeah, what I was going to say as well is I went to a local shop yesterday. My wife bought a digital storage unit, you know, like a 2 terabyte memory. And she thought she'd bought it in a case. And I'll explain. This sounds very specialist and very parochial and personal. But so she bought this 2 terabyte drive, but without a case, was hoping to have a sort of portable memory unit, came as a component for a PC. So I went down to my local
Wow.
computer shop. These guys are amazing. Okay, boot.com. And I said, you know, I was in my Portuguese, you know, com queijo, you know, can I have this with a box? Saying to the guy, basically, I was happy to buy a new unit. And I was thinking I might spend 100, 150 euros or something like that. And then he showed me on screen the box for this thing. And he said to me, it's 21 euros. It'll be ready tomorrow. And he was boxing it up for me. And then I'm thinking, okay, this is good marketing. This is, and Pete said something about this in the comments. This is the great sort of word of mouth experience, just like I'm doing now, which is an important part of things. So he saved me, you know, over 100 plus euros. So I'm thinking, okay, I need to buy something else from this guy because he's lost out from me. And we were in the market to buy a new computer. So I go online and this is the point of the story. They, as a technological company, have a really good website where if you want to choose a laptop, they give you the parameters, the price you want to pay, the memory, the make, and stuff like that. And they are evolving this shopping experience, and that's what's got to happen as well, Rafael. Right, as well as the funnel, the marketing, the sales stuff. These sites have to be a whole lot more functional as well. But I guess that's UX and UI, as it's known in the trade, isn't it? Which is a separate matter.
Yeah, they kind of have to. So in the past, the e-commerce experience was kind of mechanical, you know, like you go there and you search for it. Well, I think in the future it will be more communication based, you know, as in you get in there and you tell it, okay, I want to purchase a computer, and then it asks you, okay, and what is the price range you're trying to buy, and what you want from this, and what are the specs that you need, what are you going to use it for. So kind of like the experience you get with talking with a store clerk if you go and physically buy a computer, you know. I think that's where the future is going, especially with artificial intelligence. Things will continue to follow you online. I'm sure you all know that, for example, when we are talking about computers now, I'm going to log off of this call and I'm going to Google, and Google is going to start showing me a bunch of computers because it thinks I'm shopping for one.
Yeah, we don't like that. And I'm hoping that's going to evolve. I'm hoping that's going to evolve because it's really clunky and horrible. I've put the link to this company now. And as you say, yes, you get followed around by marketing. I've had some terrible experiences with that, as some people know here, with my pop-up ads. And I'm hoping I have got the right website address there, bootmania.com. I think that's what it's called. Let me know. But you're looking for the shop in Anadia. And God knows what else you might find looking up Bootmania, some sort of sexy boot fetish site. I can't be responsible for that if that's what happens. I'm trying to lead you to a really good small shop with a big idea. You know, they sell obviously much more stuff than they can fit in their store, but best of both worlds. They're doing the crack phone screens. They're doing, if you want to buy a little peripheral thing or some printer cartridges, they do all that locally. So they're safe, I think, as a local shop. And then they're trading nationally and internationally. I think they're a really good template for the future. And, you know, it's not someone who's being crushed by the corporations, thankfully. Let's go back to a few of the comments that have come in. Thank you, everybody, this morning. Where did we get to? Oh, we're saying good evening to Denise and Vinny over there in New Zealand. Good evening to you both. And I'm sure these guys are very interested in the whole funnel idea at Project Frugal over there. You know, they're making a transition to a few side hustles, as Vinny called it. And a lot of those will obviously be online. Marty, bon dia, Carl. Cheers from Alaska. Where you been, Marty P? We've missed you. Cheers from Alaska this morning. Sophia is here. Good morning. Missing Portugal so much. From a bit of saudade going on there, saudade, from a rare sunny day in the UK, reminding you of Portugal. Presumably there, a blue sky for a change. Saharan sand here for Mark Rigby up in the north. Past Porto. Covers the car body and windows. Needs to clean the car to drive. Very occasionally happened in Portsmouth too. Of course it would. So much like the Algarve, isn't it? Portsmouth. Bon dia, alegria. Do you know Portsmouth? Do you know the UK, Rafael?
Well, I know the UK, not Portsmouth.
Oh, okay. Bon dia, alegria from Donna. Donna Graça is here as well. Hola, bon dia, Donna Graça. Bon dia, Portugal. E resto do mundo. Fantastic, Graça. Bon dia, todos from Ian. Looking forward to chatting tomorrow. Okay, so this is my guest tomorrow morning. Growing old disgracefully. Something that Rafael doesn't need to concern himself with at all. A young entrepreneur in our mix here. As it says on the front of the Hitchhiker's Guide, don't panic. Seriously, I think we're going to have a good laugh talking to Ian tomorrow. Last day of March, of course. Bon dia, alegria, todos from Jersey over there in the United States. Magdalena, the key to our business is fast, reliable internet. Yes. and we're going to ask Rafael about that while he's here. Streaming live data. Any challenges in that regards in the Algarve villages, etc., or are we to look at property in built-up areas? What would you say to that question, Rafael? It's pretty good in Portugal, isn't it?
Yeah, it obviously depends on the place in the places where you're looking. For example, I live in the city. I'm looking to change that, but at the moment I live in the city, and I have gigabyte connection in here, which is like 1,000 megabytes. So it's the fastest as fast as you can get it, you know.
Yeah.
So it depends. But if you go into more rural places, you might not have fiber at all, you know.
Yeah, and we always advise don't necessarily take it for granted when the estate agent, the real estate person, or the homeowner says, "Yeah, the internet's fine here." It might be fine this time of day when all the kids are at school or whatever, but it might not be fine at other times. So you know, if you can get to the place, get one of those apps that measures, you know, how strong the signal is, and talk to a neighbor. I would always say talk to a neighbor and make sure you. But Portugal, I mean, I've heard this. You know, compared to France and Spain, where other expats go in Europe, Portugal is really good, and the government's very committed, right, Rafael, to the digital economy.
Yeah, it is. It's obviously very good, and also for the places where you don't have a gigabit connection, there's this thing that Elon Musk just invented, which is called I think it's Starlink or something like that. It's like satellite internet, but it's like gigabit. That guy is brilliant. It's a bit expensive, you know. You pay $100 a month, but if you're someone like me that works on the internet, well, it's a business expense, you know. So
that sounds amazing. Is it available in Portugal yet?
I think so, and if it's not available, it must be coming soon. But it's very exciting technology. You can basically get high-speed connections anywhere in the world. You know, you can be in the most remote places in Africa, and if you have it there, you know, you can get a connection.
It's a good dongle, basically, is it? A high-powered dongle. You carry it around like that sort of unit?
No, it's not a dongle. It's like a satellite, you know?
Really? What's
it's like
James Bond? You carry it around in a little sort of briefcase, and you open it up and fan it out or something like that?
They're not really that portable, but...
Okay, so it's not a portable device, but that's really good to know. If you do want to live, and we'll come back full circle, and we'll complete our arc of discovery this morning about your project. But if you're co-working in nature, that's the sort of thing you need. And also, let's face it, you know, the companies in Portugal need some disruption on that, don't they? Because they are monopolizing and are very expensive. I mean, although they're good, I have to say, you know, I've had very good when it is connected and when you've overcome all your customer service issues. The internet itself is very, very good here. It's my sort of universal experience, and you can get dongles out in the countryside and that sort of thing. But sounds like Elon is coming to the rescue with that as well, and he's going to disrupt the industry and perhaps make it cheaper among the companies. That's always a good thing. Greetings from Harrogate. Algarve weather has come to Yorkshire. Well, could there be anything better, Paul, than the Algarve in Yorkshire? 20 degrees. Well, just for the day. Okay, yeah, that's the downside. Who knows how long that might last? Could be just half an hour in Yorkshire. But Paul probably stripped down to his waist right now, sparking up the barbecue as any good Yorkshireman would after he's jet washed his patio. Breakfast with some of the freshly squeezed oranges from Senor Francis's Oranges. Garden beautiful. Okay, so that's Gary probably not co-working in his garden, just drinking orange juice, enjoying himself there. Thank you, Rafael. Very useful information from Gemini. Fiona here, bon dia. We'll watch on catch up. Very interesting indeed, but the goats need to be milked. Now, there's something. If you are going to be part of a co-working in nature community, there might be animals there as well. How wonderful. High Street is dead. As Pete said, they are funnels, but to be honest, word of mouth is still extremely important, and targeted marketing through existing customers. I'm guessing you would agree entirely with that, Rafael. Word of mouth.
Yeah, but there's way that you can use online advertising and funnels to actually make word of mouth function at a bigger scale. You know, it's not something that's different from the other. You can use both together, and it's explosive.
Oh yeah, explosive. That's what we want in terms of sales, rather than a complete thing. I never had a retirement goal. Luckily, years in the film industry have provided pensions, but always looking for creative projects such as taking tourists on tree hugging tours in Portugal. You must talk to Gary. Lol, not sure that would fly. I think it would fly. Anything can fly, marketed in the right way. You just need a couple You need a couple of videos up on there and a good Instagram channel. I think you could market tree hugging channels. I would be among your first customers, honestly. Scheming, not computer savvy though. That's why you need someone like Rafael in your team. Oh, have you got to go, Rafael? I've kept you quite a long time.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
We agreed, didn't we? 30 minutes, but this is great. We didn't do any shopping for the last 14 months, except for online whilst in the UK. I think this has been moved on by 10 years since the pandemic. Yeah, pandemic effects, Rafael, what are you saying in that department? It has changed the game, isn't it?
Completely. When it comes to companies doing online business and actually relying on the internet to do business, well, that has been absolutely changed, because obviously there hasn't been much of a choice. You kind of go online or you go online, and especially with e-commerce, as we spoke earlier, it definitely has been a big accelerator.
Yep, we were surprised how poor content and navigation the larger supermarkets in Portugal were, and DIY brands are, compared to similar size stores in the UK and US. That's websites and the store, possibly. Yeah, cultural differences. Some good clients potentially there for you, Rafael. Sorry. Oh, okay. That was referring to the websites. Interesting. Yes, my recommendation, bootmania.com. I don't know if anyone's had a look and found that to be successful and not some dodgy site. I haven't seen super impressive sites, but I have seen a massive uptake in small companies using social media to sell. I am 100% behind it. Good morning to you, Maria. Thank you for that comment. In Moscow, Carolyn's here. Wouldn't a complete shift to shopping online shut out the poor? Many of the poorest people out there do not have a credit card, smartphone, or laptop. It's a good point, Carolyn. And I don't want to see a complete shift, really. I mean, how I would see it is that there would be a return of what was called the high street and the markets to really social spaces. Certainly none of us here would want that, I don't think. I'm hoping that's nobody's vision anywhere in the world to exclude poor people, and that we, the part of this evolution means a much nicer experience in real life in the old traditional markets is how I would say it. I'd be the first there to complement my sales experiences online. I avoid Amazon and Chinese made, says Denise in New Zealand. I want to support locally made and produced. Getting authentic small businesses online would be awesome. Maybe group some compatible brands together instead of a heap of individual websites. Rafael, this is happening, isn't it? People understand this, I think, especially people. Yeah, so I think younger people, entrepreneurial people, they don't want. I think they're sort of corporation averse. So I think this is happening. The technology's there for smaller businesses to do it, and in many ways, it's cheaper, isn't it, to do that if you can get the know-how and the help from somebody like you than it is to invest in massive physical infrastructure. I would have thought. So I don't think. I mean, how do you see that? Do you see this as an exclusion of poor consumers and an exclusion and a limitation for small businesses?
Well, when it comes to the supermarkets, I don't think it will be black and white or one or the other. I think it will have both options. Physical locations will still exist. Maybe not as much as they exist today, but I'm pretty sure they will still exist for a long time. Well, when it comes to small businesses, online strategies can be very expensive and very cheap. And that obviously does not depend on the price. That depends on the strategy. Because if you have something that gives you a return on your investment, it's a very cheap strategy. It's a very cheap investment. But what most people do, unfortunately, nowadays is they create an online shop or they create a website and they don't have a strategy behind it. It's kind of like getting in a car and then just driving for the sake of driving, not having a destination. And that obviously won't get you anywhere good. And that's what most businesses are doing. They just set up the online shops and they kind of do what I call hope marketing, which is hope someone enters there and purchases it. And that obviously never happens. Or what sometimes happens is they launch their online spaces and they kind of have it advertise it a little bit on Facebook, like for their followers or for their email list. Most don't have one, but like they get an initial peak of sales and then it just dies.
You've got to do the work after. You can't just build it and they will come. Basically. There's got to be some marketing.
I like to see the websites and the online stores as a channel. It's like a vehicle. It's there to take you somewhere. But you need to have a very clear purpose. You need to have a concise information. You need to be where your clients are online, you need to be there discussing things and appearing there as publicity or just contributing, for example, in a community. So yeah, there's a bunch of things you should do, and it's way more. It's simple. It's not easy, you know.
Yeah, well said. Well said. We like the cut of your jib here, mate. Most businesses don't seem to have a great online presence in Portugal compared to the UK. Even IKEA is pants. That technical term, pants. Oh, I have sent people to a dodgy site. Bootmania.pt. Sorry, everybody, if I've changed your buying history forever with that. But thank you, Mark, for checking that for me. Bootmania.
That link was dangerous.
I hope you've had a good time at looking at bootmania.com as well. Prosecco Peggy in the house. Bon dia, Carla Rafael, one of your neighbours there. Prosecco Peggy in the Algarve. Good morning, Peggy. Fibre optics, and I'm not in the city, just outside of a small town. So fantastic internet there. See you later, guys. We'll watch later. Business to do. Of course, Peter. You've got to prioritise that. The log, or Peter from Peggy. Magdalena, interested in the satellite internet. Any leads? I guess you've got to look up Elon Musk and connection. Starlink is the name. Portugal needs more internet providers, only Mio Nos. There's also Vodafone as well, Gemini. I think there are some other players as well. Good morning. Taxi man Edmundo, getting ready for a chat from the taxi in just a moment after we've completed our chat in the Cockerel's Coop with Rafael here. Nothing wrong with a bit of timber tenderness. Sounds like you've got another customer there, Susan. My second birthday of my online jewelry design and handmade business. Big giveaway on my Instagram account at India and Albert. One, I think, there. Do check out Penny's exquisite jewelry work. Am I allowed to advertise this? You already did, Penny. You are banned. You're banned now for a week, but you got your plug in there. My destination is my retirement business. That's fantastic. SEO is my weakness. Okay, so it sounds like we need to do a little bit of a webinar maybe for these online business people. Yes, it's a sports clothing, etc. in Malaysia. Oh, so not too bad then. Thank you for looking for me, Gemini. So what do you need? With this co-working in nature idea, finally, Rafael, we need to go to Edmundo in just a moment, also in the Algarve. But how can we help? What do you need at this stage with this idea? I think it's a beautiful idea.
Yeah. So at the moment, we're kind of this is a very fresh idea. So we're kind of in the process of getting it together and finding investment for it. So if anyone is looking to help make this vision a reality, you can contact me by email. Is there any way we can leave my email on the screen or something?
Yeah. How do I do it?
So I will put it here in the chat for you.
Oh, good man. Okay, and I'll cut and paste that. That's fantastic. Yeah,
so just feel free to shoot me an email if you need anything, or if you're interested in talking a little bit more about this. There's not a how do I say it? It's not binding, you know. So yeah.
you won't be stuck a prisoner in his funnel forever. But I mean, basically, the idea is this: escape from the big city experience. I mean, you know, there's a time and a place for that, and get into some of that. And you know, this is something I'm interested in too. I'd love to do something similar. That's San Martinho de Porto, and we called it the Homestead Natural Co-working Project. And there's your kind of vision. I think it's a shift for co-working itself. In the lower image there, that's how people tend to work in these busy Lisbon co-working centres, as I've seen it. I think we're moving more towards the top one, aren't we there, Rafael?
Yeah, it's very different when it comes to your lifestyle, you know. Actually just being able to be in nature and doing what you love, you know, and you're kind of connected with nature and all of those things. And if you're more holistic in the universe and all of that, you know, it's a very different energy, you know. I just love being in nature, and I'm a little bit sad that I can have a proper office with a nice view and some trees, and I can just step outside and read something and listen to the birds and having a great time, you know. So that's why I want to build this, you know, and I want this experience for me and for other people too. So
I think it's a great thing for Portugal, and I think we could get people from all over the world to come and enjoy this, and a network of them. Like I say, let's get north, south, and in the middle, and on the Spanish border, you know, and on the coast. We could have a great time with this, and people could do slow tourism as well. They could move around Portugal whilst they're working, whilst they're keeping their income coming in with their funnel, and nice. Just check in every now and then to see how the orders are coming in. Talk to the customers on social media, whatever. I know I'm painting a very idyllic picture, but I think it's more possible now than it's ever been. Rafael, it's been so good to have you here this morning. Thank you for coming.
Sure. Thank you for inviting me.
We will speak again soon. Take care. Have a lovely day in the Algarve and avoid all that Saharan sand, my friend.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.
Ciao, 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 ciao. Okay, there he goes. Rafael Guerreiro. I need to do this right. Let me take a run up. Rafael Guerreiro. And I think Edmundo will help me with my pronunciation in just a moment, because we need to speak to the taxi man Edmundo in the Algarve. I think we should get him on the phone now. Just take a quick breather. That was fun, wasn't it? Talking to Rafael. I love the idea of that natural co-working network around the country, around Portugal. And there's his email address on the screen now if you want to get in touch with him. Ready when you are, says Edmundo. So let's give him a buzz, shall we? What's happening now to WhatsApp? Why am I? Voice call. Sorry, I thought I was going to have to call you on the video there, Edmundo. But here he is. Let's see if he picks up. Hope he does.
Hello, good morning, my friend.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine, very good, thank you.
Excellent. Oh, I think we've got a little bit of an echo. I wonder what I do about that. Hopefully it will settle down and it will not be too difficult.
Hey, how are you?
Oh my word!
A little bit of a feedback around in here.
Are you able to turn your Bluetooth off or something like that, Edmundo? I guess this is what you're running in your taxi this morning. We're in an infinite loop. Are you able to turn your Bluetooth off or something like that, Edmundo? I guess this is what you're running. It's like the radiophonic workshop.
Let's see if we can connect as well.
Okay, let's see if that helps any better there. We've gone to video, everybody. Oh, that's cut down. That's cut down on the echo a little bit, I think.
To get this in a different way.
Edmundo, are you at home at the moment? Gone to video, everybody. Yes. Okay, yes, I'm gonna send you a link. I'm gonna turn this off because actually no, I think the echo. Is it there? Is it there? Hello, 1 2 testing. I think
it is.
No, I think we've got too much of an echo. I'm gonna stop this and let's see if we can get you on the screen. Because if you're at home, I thought he was going to be in his taxi. You see, everybody, but I think Edmundo is in the at home at the moment. So let's see if we can bring him through by traditional means, a little bit like we did with Rafael. And I'm just sparking up WhatsApp now and sending him the link. Okay, so let's do that. And also, while we're getting Edmundo ready in that department. Let's go to a little question that came through. This is business, money, Consumer Tuesday here on the Good Morning Portugal show with expatsportugal.com. Subscribe here. Think about becoming a premium member as well. I think we're going to do some webinars with that young man, Rafael. Something interesting came through that I saw on social media. It seems to be where I pick up a lot of interesting folks, meet a lot of interesting people for social media who come on the show, like Edmundo, like Rafael this morning. Something I saw yesterday or the day before was somebody wanting to invest in Portugal. Now, what they said was, if I can find this now. Oh, hello. Yes. Hello, lovely people. I want to invest in Portugal. And I'm putting this idea through the Cockerel's Coop here to see if you think this is a good idea. I wanted to buy. This is Lee, who said I could share this out loud in public. I wanted to buy some flats or houses in the Lisbon area, but it's very expensive. I also wanted some businesses, not a must, or some investment, looking through some properties. I get an idea, and why not buy some commercial shops? So it sounds like they've got a nice investment pot. They want to buy a property, rent them out. They want to start a new business, maybe a hostel or a bar. We need to put them in touch with Rafael, don't we? Or some touristy thing, or simply buy the existing business and get the rent. What would you suggest to somebody like Lee, who's coming into Portugal with a nice investment fund? Maybe you've got something for them to invest in, and I can put you in touch. But buy some property out of the city for a cheaper price for living, or maybe wait a bit, buy in Lisbon, or just rent a nice flat in Lisbon. So they're very open and very wealthy by the sound of it, and looking to invest. If you had your hands on, let's say, €1 million, what would you invest in? in Portugal right now. Edmundo, hit that link again, mate, and I'll see if I can get you on screen. Go to a few more comments here. Beverly, I'm early retired, and I really miss the camaraderie and out of work fun I had with my colleagues. Can't see how that would be possible working online. Well, that's why it's called co-working, not solo working, Beverly. The idea of these co-working environments is that you rub shoulders with other people who are working on their own little business. So you're all entrepreneurs together. And also the great thing about co-working environments is if there is that really annoying person in the office, the chances are they're going to move on and go to Barcelona next, or Bali or something like that. So yeah, the idea of co-working is to be sociable, not necessarily to be working from home. I think Denise laughing at my technological difficulty there, possibly with getting Edmundo on screen. Let's see how he's doing and see if we can do that this morning. So looking forward to speaking to the taxi man, because of course, if you want to find out about somewhere or what's going on in a part of the world, anywhere in the world, not just Portugal, who do you speak to? You speak to the taxi guys or the hairdressers or the cafe owners. So I'm going to try him once more, see if we can hold it down on the line.
Hello, good morning again. I was trying to get through the link, but it seems not going through.
Right, we may have to test this separately, Edmundo, and we'll get you on another day. I'm ringing you twice. Yeah, I don't know why that is.
I don't know either.
Okay, all right. So what?
It's doing.
Yeah, we're hearing it twice. Sorry, Edmundo. We'll try off air, and we'll make sure we've got a decent connection so we can have a jolly good chat with you sometime. Take care, mate.
Right.
Speak to you soon. Ciao, ciao.
Take care, you man.
All right, bye for now. Great thing about Edmundo, he's a transfer man down. He's also on our business directory in Expats Portugal. If you need a taxi man, not just to drive you around, but to tell you what's hot and what's not in the town, from Faro Airport and beyond, he's your man, Edmundo. You need someone good like that. He's like a Sherpa when you're in foreign territory. Is Edmundo. So I think we should probably have a quick look at the weather and maybe some news headlines, and then we'll have maybe an early finish today, unless of course there's anything else you want to talk about. This being Consumer Tuesday on the Good Morning Portugal show. Have you got a question, a consumer question? Best bank, best mobile provider, best internet provider? We've got a few people here who will be able to answer that because they already live in Portugal. So shout it out if you have those questions. Otherwise, we'll have an early bath, as Paul might say not literally, but an early finish to the show today. But I will look at this weather that people are excited about amid the Saharan sand. And I think a little bit of a look at the papers as well. Let's take a look at the news headlines, shall we, in Portugal, and see what's happening with the pandemic. Ease down, ease off. Thank you, Carl. A bit of a stress with the connections. It happens, Edmundo. It happens. No problem. I think we were too connected, if anything. We were connected about 3 times, and they were all speaking at once there. So let me bring onto the screen Portugal news via Portugal Resident and see what's happening in the news headlines. And take a bit of a breather. I've got myself a little bit excited this morning, haven't I? Okay, Portugal Resident. Let's see what pop-up ads come up this morning after that conversation with Rafael and with Edmundo there. So I'll take a look at the news in brief, shall I, and see what's happening. So, oh dear, increase in number of people being treated in Portuguese hospitals for COVID-19. Hopefully, within the scheme of things, that's a small rise. Although it does say here the transmission rate, the RT, is rising, but other indicators are down, which is good news. So let's take a look at that, shall we? This latest news, I believe, probably from yesterday, about the rising RT rate. We fingers crossed here. Of course, we have our panel discussion on Friday, where we have a retired doctor, medically retired medic. The doc will be with us, as will a retired nurse, years in ICU in America, Prosecco Peggy, that maverick among scientists, Will Thompson, and our holistic health correspondent, Jenny Baraku, all on the show on Friday, talking about the way forward with the pandemic. Will we ever get back to any kind of normal? They'll be talking about that. But practically, strategically, what should we do next to get some sense of getting back to some sort of life as we knew it over those, 12 months certainly ago. Portugal's RT rises, but other indicators are down. Thank you, Natasha Don, for this. Only 309 new cases in 24 hours. That's dramatically down, isn't it, on those terrifying earlier times that we've had during the pandemic. Another day of good news. Bunny ears on that, tentatively there, tempered only by the constant referrals to Portugal's transmission number, which has inched up a notch to 0.94. Okay, so you are seeing that on the screen. Taking just the mainland, the RT level transmission rate is 0.93, well within the acceptable criteria outlined by experts. So it's 0.94 for the Portuguese territory as a whole, including the archipelagos of Madeira and the Azores. All other indicators are down, folks. Incidence is down from 75.7 cases per 100,000 inhabitants across all Portuguese territory to 70. I mean that. In a sample of 100,000, these are tiny differences, but any decrease is a good one, right? With the mainland, even less, 63.4 cases per 100,000. The ideal for authorities, I mean, it's coming down to levels that are, albeit they are not necessarily contagious. I think you're getting cases of other illnesses that are way above 63.4 cases per 100,000. If you look at obesity, for example, the ideal for authorities is 50 cases per 100,000. But the red line that we need to be aware of, if we want this ease down, ease up, ease off of the lockdown to occur, the red line is 120 cases, according to Natasha here. So the situation today is basically good, and that was yesterday, that reporting, watching this day by day. Otherwise, the bulletin shows that 6 people died, sadly, in the last 24 hours following positive tests for COVID-19. Oh dear. There are now 10 less people in hospitals. The total number now down. So it went up a little bit. Now it's back down again. People in ICUs in Portugal are now 10 less people in hospitals. Total number now down to 623. And in hospital generally, and 6 less in ICUs. Total number in ICUs down to 136. The active case count in Portugal was down to 28,024, a reduction of 155 cases in those last 24 hours. And the number of people deemed recovered after testing positive, recoveries up 458. I won't go into the breakdown region by region. Suffice to say there, we are looking at an improvement, aren't we? And a positive direction of travel. What else is happening in the top stories here? Let's have a quick look before we finish with the weather this morning. Sad not to speak to Edmundo. I think we're going to have a great conversation when the time and the technology allows. Portugal's, PM reacts to president's passing of illegal diplomas, saying we don't have time for a political crisis. Well, that's convenient, is it not? We don't have time for a political crisis. What's that saying? Certainly from British politics, no disaster goes wasted. No good disaster goes wasted. Here, EDP damn sale row. Portugal's environment minister caught out in yet another lie. Dear, oh dear. But remember, we don't have time for a political crisis. We're dealing with the pandemic at the moment. Portugal cracks down further on foreign visitors at airports and land borders. Interesting. And I know there was a comment about the borders opening up and tree hugging. I'll see how that connection was made in just a moment. Portugal's president insists government must extend measures of social support. Now, this is very important. There are a few sort of corruption stories around at the moment for Portugal. You may want to follow those, portugalresident.com. But this I'm liking what Marcelo, if I may call him that, is saying. Portugal's president insists government must extend measures of social support. Rubber stamp 3 diplomas, has President Marcelo, in the last couple of days, insisting the government reinforce urgent measures of social support. And hopefully it will go from just rubber stamped diplomas into actual help for people. There are people really struggling and suffering in Portugal who are, in poverty, basically, caused by the pandemic, and they need to be helped. Come on. I mean, who would disagree with that? How and whether might be the source of some disagreement, whether that's actually going to happen, whether it's practically happening. But let's make it so, folks. Throughout last week, the government's message was that to do so would violate the law over excessive spending. I mean, that beggars belief, okay? So giving more social support would violate the law. Well, what kind of law is that? we know how it is, don't we? In the big countries of the world, whenever there's a war, they can always find the money, but they don't seem to be able to find the money when it comes to helping people out. And in this case, being told not to work, being shut down, and then not being helped seems to me, personal opinion, not necessarily those of any organisation I represent here, but that seems criminal. Not the other way around. Not criminal to help them, but criminal not to help them. Indeed, on Friday, Prime Minister Antonio Costa said that if Marcelo promulgated the diplomas, the government would refer them to the Constitutional Court. There must be more going on underneath the surface than I'm currently understanding. But Marcelo has clearly considered the threat, and that's his job as the president, as I understand it, to challenge the government. And it's like he's doing a good job here, as well as the situation, and concluded not only that his promulgation in no way violates the Constitution, but that it is needed urgently. Indeed. In taking this matter up with him last week, Bloco de Esquerda, and if the doc's still here, he might have something to say about this, the coordinator of Bloco de Esquerda, the left bloc, Catarina Martins, explained there are people incapable of working who are expected to survive on support measures that come to no more than €200 a month. The 3 diplomas call for support to be extended to managing partners, the self-employed, health professionals, and teleworking parents with children still at home. All were approved in Parliament on March the 3rd, with every opposition party voting in favour. Well done, opposition. Against votes against by. Sorry, that doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, good that the opposition is stepping up and backing the president on this. Explaining his reasoning on the official site of the presidency this evening, Marcelo said that on the one hand, the government is a minority government with a mandate running for 4 years, but on the other, times of elections, and the autumn sees municipal elections, sometimes see opposition parties seeking confrontations, particularly. So he's saber rattling here. Do your job, otherwise you might get booted out, particularly over sensitive social and economic issues. Well done, Marcelo, on this. I'll be interested to know what real Portuguese people say about this. So let's stop that for a moment, see what you've been saying in the comments there. Who have we got? I dropped out of full-time Finnish classes and went online due to the bug, but it looks like I will need a computer partner to promote business plan I come up with for Portugal. There you go. That could be Lee. That could be Rafael. We've talked about there this morning. There is a 14-day isolation for travellers from the UK to Portugal. That's not great for tourism, is it? And any sense of normal. I heard that as a rumour, so that's been confirmed, is it? Unfortunately there. Thank you for that, Beverly. Gary, anyone recommend a company that can supply and fit a wood burner in my annex? Central Portugal, Alvazara. Great question. A good one also, as you know, Gary, for the Expats Portugal Forum, where people will have actually had that done. Everyone needs to make sure they join. The premium membership is great. Thank you so much for saying that. There's your link, expatsportugal.com/upgrade. Let's show Astrid what we're made of here. Subscribe here and become a premium member. And if if you tune in every day and you get some value out of this, €47 for the year can't be bad, can it? So let's go. Let's check our email after the show, me and you, Astrid, and see how many people have signed up. Also from the doc, yes, he is still listening, and I knew he would have something to say about this. Yes, left bloc is dragging Marcelo to the left against the so-called Socialist Party, who are too frightened to put a candidate up for the presidency. Interesting development, and good to see that there is a challenge to this. How on earth are people supposed to survive at the moment, having been shut down? This is not people choosing not to work or being lazy, is it? This is people whose context has been changed by external forces, by the pandemic, yes, but also by the government with their lockdown measures. You can't shut people down and then not support them, in my view. As I've said before, personal views, not necessarily those of any organisation I represent. So thank you for that, Doc. Let's finish with the weather for today, and maybe a little bit of an outlook on the weather whilst we process that. The idea that it might be against the law to help people in poverty, then it's a stupid law, right? Lisbon, 16 degrees, clear sky. The high 23 today, looking pretty good, matching the UK there. Sorry, that's my benchmark anyway. A little bit of rain forecast in Lisbon today. 22 tomorrow, and a drop in temperature Thursday, Friday, 18 and 19 respectively, but a corking looking weekend, 19 and 21 respectively. Let's go to Porto as well, 21 degrees today, a little bit cooler up there, a bit of rain as well, forecast today. Actually, let me put this on the screen for you so you can enjoy it in the Expats Portugal.com weather in Technicolor too. You can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, Porto looking a little bit cooler, I think, safe to say. And pop it on the screen with that button. There you go. Porto 16 currently, clear sky, 21 the high today. And that's actually going to be beaten tomorrow by 20, cloudy tomorrow, but 24 tomorrow. That's looking good. Coimbra, central Portugal, 26 the high today, currently 14 with broken cloud, 27 tomorrow, and cooling off on Thursday, Friday, but a nice weekend at 23 and 23 on Saturday and Sunday. And let's see if things have improved in Faro. It's been cool in Faro for the last couple of weeks. 18 degrees currently and a few clouds, 19 the high only with a bit of rain today, cloudy day tomorrow at 18. But yeah, a sunny weekend, but only 18 and 17 respectively there. And weather by request. And the rest of the districts of Portugal, as you can see on your screen there, you only have to shout when I'm doing the weather, and I will go to the part of the country that you are in. A couple more messages then before we go. Peggy, Prosecco Peggy, does anyone know anything about when visitors from the US will be allowed? It's a really tricky one. Very, very tricky one, that, Peggy. And we won't know. Well, we won't know until we've made our own domestic decisions. Do excuse me on that. And then America's made domestic decisions, and then see how the two match up. And I've heard nothing from that point of view. Countries are obviously very inward looking at the moment and leaving the borders as a last resort, possibly, and thinking about international travel. So I think anyone's good guess is as good as anyone else's right now, Peggy. I'm sorry you can't be more helpful than that. And some, even though we couldn't speak to him, some value from Edmundo already. Look, high control for the Easter holidays in the Algarve by the police. So this is a really important weekend for pandemic Portugal, let's call it that at the moment. Okay, they don't want a repeat of Christmas. They want to keep people where they live or where they've run off recently for their holiday, 10 days or whatever it is. From Friday through to Monday, people are expected to stay put. It's already started. I think we're already in the period of no movement between the concelhos, between the districts. Stay in your municipality is the order of the government, and there will be checks, as Edmundo's saying there, by the Algarve police. Certainly, that's the territory he knows, and I suspect all over the country. Stay put. And the idea behind it is to keep the transmission down and not to have a repeat of Christmas, and that should bode well, going back to your question, Peggy, to sort that out domestically here, and then we'll see what happens on the international, literally the international scene with American people coming from into Portugal again. I hope that's soon, I really do. USA visitors are not allowed in the Azores. So there's a definite block still there. Drive away outside your residence area and risk a fine of €200 there. Drying up, folks. I need to go. Interesting how different weather in Faro is so different from us, only 40 kilometers away in Cabanas to de Tavira. That's the Faro district I was giving there rather than the city, I think, but maybe it's kind of one and the same from the weather station there, Paul. But yeah, fascinating thing about Portugal, the microclimates and how the weather can change, even 10 kilometers, I would say. A good point. Last minute info 3, Moroccans arrested in Villarreal, Santo Antonio in a small vessel. Good heavens there. Edmundo is your proper taxi driver guy, isn't he? And thank you, Edmundo, for that. And now allowed. No, I'm so sorry. That's a terrible slip of the tongue or the eye, isn't it? USA visitors are now allowed in the Azores. Thank you for pointing out my mistake there, Donna. So in the Azores, USA visitors are being allowed. Maybe it's a little bit of a test for the rest of the mainland. As I understand it, though, are the Azores demanding a vaccine passport there? Did I hear that correctly? But let me just restate that. Donna, thank you. According to Donna, USA visitors are now allowed in the Azores. Thank you for pointing that out. Should be better this time rather than Christmas, because we can be outside in the better weather, says Gary. Yes, we understand that helps with the virus, right? Outdoors, sunshine, vitamin C, vitamin D, as Will has been saying all along, as well as ivermectin. This is a man so passionate that he daubed his local town hall. He'll be with us on Friday as part of that panel. Yes, he graffitied his town hall to bring attention to alternative treatments and what we might be missing in the mix of our pandemic response. Yes, if they have a negative test, it is not a vaccine passport. There's so much information flying about, isn't there? We do our best to, to build upon what we're hearing here and bring you the right information, and share it, please, on expatsportugal.com on the forum. Share what you know. Let's get it corroborated, and let's work, person to person within our communities of interest here. New Zealanders can travel too, I think. Is that to Portugal, Denise? But yeah, carry on the conversation, folks, at expatsportugal.com on the forum. Obviously, people have some great personal interest in coming here, with tickets booked, with property to buy, and so on. So have those useful conversations with people who are already here or may have made the same journey on the forum at expatsportugal.com. Subscribe here, there, and do think about becoming a member, because we're finishing. You could go straight there. You could go straight there and take the heat off me a little bit and subscribe. So actually, at the very least, please join as a community member. No charge for that. But if you feel like you've got some value over these last few months, watching the show, seeing the webinars, getting information from the community, please think about signing up at €47 as well. That would be so awesome. Have a great day. We will, of course, be back tomorrow, as Ian said, with Growing Old Disgracefully. Is there any other way? And he's not going to ask you to do loads of awful things and be a terrible bore about it. You can't do this, you can't do that. We've come here to have a great, some of us, retirement, so others, to live a new kind of life, a different quality of life, enjoy the good life, but also take care of ourselves. And that's what Ian's talking about, is balance and taking care of yourself, doing a few extra things possibly. And I imagine he's got a few hacks and cheats in there to make it a bit easier, while still enjoying the wine and the cheese, not at the same time, obviously. But yes, enjoying the beautiful life that Portugal affords us and taking care of ourselves. And he'll be bringing our attention to that tomorrow. Ian Turner, Growing Old Disgracefully, tomorrow. Take care, folks. Bye for now. Let's play out with that and whistle along, please, as you make your way to expatsportugal.com/upgrade. Ciao, ciao. Hello.